Imagine this. Every morning when you open your eyes, it's not just about waking up. You are choosing the direction of your entire life. You are not standing still. No one is. Every single day, every single choice you make, no matter how small, either brings you closer to the person you deeply desire to become or silently pulls you further away. And here's the truth. Progress is never random. It doesn't come from luck. It doesn't arrive through sudden inspiration. It is the result of what you train. Not weekly, not when it's convenient, but daily. There are 5 core elements that make all the difference. 5 areas that cannot be overlooked if you want to rewrite your future from the roots. And we begin with the one place where all real change truly starts, the mind. No external victory can last if your inner mind is falling apart. No achievement can be sustained if the root of your thinking remains anchored in fear, comparison, or procrastination. The first thing you must do every day is retrain the way you think. Every thought you repeat is an instruction sent to the brain. If you constantly think you're not good enough, not ready, not in the right timing, then you don't have to wait for anything else. You're already programming yourself to stay. Worse, every time you doubt yourself and choose to delay action, you are reinforcing neural pathways that make your brain more familiar and even skilled at postponing, fearing, and retreating. This isn't just emotion, this is biology. This is neuroplasticity at work against you. But the good news is if the brain can learn negative patterns, it can just as powerfully learn anew, and you can choose to retrain yourself, beginning with your thinking. Every time you choose growth over judgment, learning over silence, gratitude over demand, you're teaching your brain, I do not live by emotion, I live by direction. And as you do that bit by bit, day by day, your brain begins to change in the exact direction you lead it. No strong mindset is ever the result of one inspirational book or a single podcast. A strong mindset is built through hundreds, thousands of moments when you choose to do what's right, even when your old mind is screaming for the comfort zone. It comes from observing your own thoughts, questioning yourself, and gently but firmly redirecting yourself toward who you want to become. If your mind is a garden, then each thought is a seed, and you only have 2 choices: to sow seeds of growth, courage, and creativity, or to leave it unattended and let the weeds of doubt, anxiety, and insecurity grow wild. Whether you act or not, something is growing in you every single day. So pause for a moment, take a deep breath, look within and ask, what am I cultivating in my mind each day? If the answer makes you pause in silence, that's where you begin. Not by changing the entire world, but by changing just one thought you repeat most often. Write it down, turn it into a question, and gradually turn it into a conscious choice. This isn't philosophy, this is personal neural programming, and you are the only one holding the wheel. Remember, you don't need to become the best today, but you do need to become the one who can master your mind each day, even just a little, because that's where the inner revolution begins. And when the inside changes, the outside will never be the same again. Once the mind has begun to reshape its path, the next thing you need to do is not to dive headfirst into work. It is to awaken your body. Because no matter how strong your willpower is, if your body is sluggish, your brain will slowly become clouded as well. What few people tell you is this: the body is not merely a vessel for the mind, it is an essential part of that very mind. Modern neuroscience has confirmed what ancient wise men lived by. Movement doesn't just improve health, it reprograms your entire state of being. When you stand up, when you step outside, when you breathe deeply and move for just 15-20 minutes a day, you are sending a message to your nervous system that says, I am alive, I am present, I am in control. And with just such a clear signal, your body will respond. Your brain begins to increase the production of dopamine, the motivation-boosting hormone, serotonin, the mood-regulating hormone, and norepinephrine, the neurotransmitter that enhances focus. You don't wait to feel ready before you move. You move to generate the feeling of readiness. And more importantly, physical stagnation is the first sign of mental stagnation. A body that barely moves doesn't just slow down metabolism, it slows the flow of information, creativity, and inspiration in the brain. You've probably felt this after days of sitting too long without movement. Your thoughts thicken, your emotions dull, your clarity vanishes without a trace. So never underestimate the power of small movement. Short walk under the morning sun, a few stretches to start your day, even just standing tall and taking a deep breath. These things not only help blood circulate, they alter the chemical environment inside your brain, opening up a version of you that is sharper, more decisive, and filled with greater inner strength. And what you must remember is this: the body and brain are not separate entities. They are one integrated system, constantly interacting. When you avoid movement, you are training your brain to live in a state of laziness, slow response, and susceptibility to negativity. But when you move, even without motivation, you are biologically cultivating alertness, proactiveness, and self-leadership. You don't need to be an athlete. You don't need to go to the gym. You just need one intentional decision today. I will send a message to my nervous system that I am alive and I am in charge. And if you truly do that, every day, not for your figure, but for the energy that rises from within, you will be amazed by the clarity, the strength, and the awakening you begin to feel. Not a month from now, but today. After you've awakened your body, sent signals of life to your nervous system, and ignited your inner vitality, the next step is to protect the most precious asset that this era is eroding day by day: your focus. We live in an age where your attention is a commodity being hunted. Every notification, every breaking headline, every visually stimulating short video, they're not just distractions. They are silent saboteurs, subtly rewiring your brain moment by moment to become more reactive and less in control. Just imagine, every time you glance at a pop-up message, every time you switch from your current task to scrolling social media just for a bit, you're not just losing time, you are training your brain to become more distractible. You are unconsciously reinforcing neural pathways that make it harder and harder for you to stay with anything for long. Whether it's learning, creating, or simply listening to someone you love. And here's the crucial truth: focus is a neural skill. It's not a personality trait. You are not born unfocused. That is simply a nervous system that hasn't been trained properly. But just like a muscle, it can be strengthened. When you dedicate 30 minutes, an hour a day, no phone, no noise, no interruptions, to doing just one thing, you're not only getting work done, you are rebuilding the neural circuitry for depth and control. You are programming your brain to understand we can stay. We don't need to chase new stimuli every few minutes. And here's the miracle. When you begin to train your focus, you're also upgrading other parts of yourself. Your calm, your decision-making, your clarity, even your emotions. Because a person who can focus is a person who can lead themselves. Not because they're superhuman, but because they understand in a chaotic world, focus is freedom. Freedom from the feeling of being dragged by endless trivialities. Freedom from the habit of multitasking that delivers no real results. Freedom from the lingering fog of indecision. And even more remarkably, the moment you begin, the moment you resist touching your phone just once, the moment you sit still with just one task, you're strengthening your capacity for self-control, the very foundation of a mature mind. Focus does not come from inspiration. It comes from a deliberate decision. Each day, carve out a small block of time to come home to yourself, your purpose, your real priorities. Look back at today. How much time did you truly spend being present, undistracted? If the answer is none, yet, don't blame yourself, just begin tomorrow. It doesn't have to be long, it just has to be deep. Because in a world where everyone is rushing, the one who can stay with just one thing becomes the one who cannot be replaced. After you've trained your mind, awakened your body, and practiced focus, there remains one seemingly simple thing that serves as the biological foundation for everything you wish to build: sleep. People often think of sleep as rest, as a way to disconnect from the world, but the truth runs much deeper. Sleep is when your brain works its hardest to recreate you. When you close your eyes, you're not disappearing from life. You are entering the quietest, most powerful phase of recovery, clarity, and discipline. During deep sleep, the brain doesn't rest. It flushes out neural toxins accumulated throughout the day, organizes and consolidates memories, renews emotional balance, and rebuilds essential hormones like testosterone and cortisol, which are foundational for energy, self-regulation, and resilience in the face of challenge. Inadequate sleep means carrying a tired brain into tomorrow, where you constantly feel foggy, reactive instead of calm, and drained of willpower without knowing why. Just one night of poor sleep can impair your reflexes like alcohol. Emotional control drops, decision-making becomes chaotic, and most importantly, willpower becomes fragile. You're not lazy. You're simply depriving yourself of the deepest fuel that keeps you strong: neural recovery. Yet in a society that glorifies busyness and late nights, sleep is often dismissed as laziness. You find yourself staying up a bit later for work, for entertainment, or simply because you can't put down your phone. And then the next morning you wake up exhausted, blaming yourself, trying to regain energy through caffeine, fleeting motivation, when what you truly needed was just to sleep enough and sleep properly. Sleeping right is an art. It's the deliberate act of shaping your life around your own biological rhythms, getting morning sunlight exposure to reset your circadian clock, limiting blue light at night so melatonin can be released properly, maintaining a consistent sleep schedule even on weekends to avoid neural disruption. These small habits, if practiced regularly, become a sustainable biological advantage, enabling you to run yourself like the most efficient system possible. So, if you want to improve focus, maintain discipline, live with purpose, and take decisive action, begin with sleep. Honor it as a daily ritual of self-reconstruction. Don't treat it as leftover time in your schedule. Treat it as a commitment to the best version of yourself, because no deep clarity ever grows without being seated in quality sleep. No lasting perseverance can survive if the brain is silently depleted. Sleep is the one place where you no longer have to try, and yet it is precisely where the brain silently rebuilds everything you're working so hard to create when awake. You've trained your mind, you've awakened your body, you've focused and recovered, but there will come a day, and it won't be far off, when you wake up and no longer feel like you want to. No inspiration, no energy, no motivation. And that is completely normal. Because motivation is emotion, and emotion, like all tides, rises and falls. No one, no matter how resilient, can maintain a high spirit endlessly. The issue is not whether you're motivated. The real question is, are you living with a clear purpose? Purpose is not the same as motivation. It doesn't need to feel good. It doesn't depend on emotion. Purpose is what remains steady even when you don't feel like moving forward. It is the anchor for your mind when you're exhausted. The lighthouse is when waves of doubt come crashing in. The reason you get up, not because you have to, but because you understand. You are living for something worth showing up for. And in the language of the brain, purpose isn't just a beautiful idea. It is a powerful biological command. When you connect with something meaningful, a mission, a deep value, a vivid image of the person you want to become, your brain releases a different kind of dopamine. This is not the quick hit dopamine you get from scrolling social media or receiving praise. This is a stable, enduring dopamine, the kind that helps you stay committed, patient, and push through hardship without needing instant reward. That's why people who live with a deep purpose tend to be healthier, less anxious, and live longer, not because they face fewer challenges, but because their biological inner strength is greater. And here's the best part. You don't need a grand, majestic purpose to begin. You just need a reason that feels honest, close, and deeply personal. It might be your family. It might be your future self. It might be a dream you once buried because you were too busy living for others. Sit down, write it out. Ask yourself, why am I doing all of this? Not to be recognized, not to prove anything, but to become someone you've always known deep down you were born to be. Read that purpose aloud every morning, put it where you can see it easily, and live as if every action you take today is one step closer to that reason. Because, in truth, it is. Because when you live with purpose, you're not just building discipline. Discipline becomes a natural part of you. You no longer have to push yourself, because energy doesn't come from pressure. It comes from alignment between your actions and your core values. Motivation is a quick burning flame, but it flickers out easily. Purpose is an ember, quiet but strong enough to keep you warm through the longest nights. And one day, when everything seems to be working against you, when there's no applause, when even you start to question the path you've chosen, purpose will be the one voice that remains. And that voice will whisper, keep going. Because this isn't just about what you do. This is about who you are becoming. There will be mornings when you wake up and feel no drive, no sunshine in your heart, no words inspiring enough to push you forward. In those moments, when motivation is absent, discipline is the only thing that remains. It's no coincidence that the most resilient, persistent individuals on their journey aren't those who are constantly inspired, but those who return to themselves regardless of how they feel that day. Discipline isn't loud. It doesn't wear a heroic mask. Discipline is the quiet, steadfast return to what you've chosen, with trust and consistency. Biologically, every time you take action, not out of excitement, but out of commitment, you activate the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for planning, decision-making, and impulse control. Every disciplined act, from waking early, working out, to sitting down and focusing on a task you've wanted to avoid, is a signal to your brain saying, I am in control. Repeated often enough, this builds a solid neural foundation known as internal trust. Discipline isn't just a tool to help you get things done. It's the art of willingly living within a framework you designed for yourself. A framework that doesn't confine you but frees you from distraction, from self-doubt, from those sweet temporary compromises with yesterday's ease. Unlike impulsive dopamine hits, the kind you get from scrolling your phone, emotional eating, or excuse-filled procrastination, the dopamine from discipline arrives slower but goes deeper and feels more real. It's a biological reward that brings clarity, focus, and a deeper sense of self-alignment. It won't make you external, but it nurtures a grounded confidence, something nothing external can replace. That's why every time you choose to act, not because you feel like it, but because you made a promise to yourself, you are crafting an identity, who you are when no one is watching, when no one is pushing, when no one is applauding. And you'll realize there's no greater freedom than knowing you can rely on yourself, not because your feelings push you forward, but because your inner trust keeps you grounded. You don't need to do something grand every day, but choose something hard, something you usually avoid, and do it with the quiet precision of someone who's reprogramming their nervous system. Because in the end, discipline isn't just about doing the right thing. It's about living in alignment with who you are, even in silence. Life has its own way of testing you, not always through grand chaos, but through the smallest of things. A plan gets disrupted, an unexpected wave of exhaustion. Someone says something that makes you doubt yourself. And suddenly, your mind wavers, your resolve weakens, and everything that once felt clear seems to blur in an instant. In moments like these, it's not discipline, not motivation, not even inspiration, but responsibility that keeps you grounded. Responsibility isn't just about fulfilling obligations to others. It's a silent commitment to yourself, a quiet agreement that, no matter how the world shifts, I will still show up, not because I always feel strong, but because I understand on a deep level there are things that cannot be entrusted to anyone else but me. This is what makes responsibility profound. It is the neurological foundation of self-mastery. When you begin to uphold consistent behaviors, even small ones, in a world full of uncertainty, you are sending a biological signal to your nervous system that says, I am not powerless, I am not drifting, I am still at the wheel. Neuroscience calls this agency the feeling of having control. And this feeling doesn't come from mastering everything. It comes from mastering something small, repeated, and intentional. Like waking up at your usual time, even after a poor night's sleep. Like writing a few journal lines, even when your mind feels blank. Like sitting at your desk, not to prove anything, but to remind yourself, I'm still here. In the most fragile moments, these small actions become neural anchors. Your brain realizes we are not in free fall. We are still living with direction. And when the nervous system detects that sense of stability, everything begins to settle. Your heartbeat, your breathing, and most importantly, your clarity of mind. You don't need to control the world, but you do need to control something each day. Not because it will change the course of your life, but because it keeps you connected to yourself amid a noisy, ever-shifting world. It could be making your bed every morning. Write down 3 things you're grateful for, taking a 15-minute walk in the early sunlight, or simply keeping a promise you once quietly made to yourself. Because in a world unraveling, the one who keeps their word to themselves is the one who still holds the entire map of their inner world. And when you do this, quietly, without fanfare, without waiting for acknowledgement, you're not just taking action, you are becoming the pillar of your own life. You've walked with me this far, through the deep layers of the mind, the vitality of the body, the sharpness of focus, the restoration of sleep, the enduring flame of purpose, the freedom within discipline, and the solid foundation of personal responsibility. And now, you stand in a very special place, where there are no longer many words that need to be said, no more applause from the outside, but one thing is becoming clearer than ever. You are no longer the same. Not because the world has changed, but because you've begun to change the way you live within it. You no longer simply live to survive. You are living as someone who is conscious of every thought you choose to keep, every step you choose to take, and every moment you choose to be present for. And in that presence you realize each day is an opportunity, not to be perfect, but to return to the most powerful version of who you are. Not everyone will understand this journey. Not everyone will walk with you to the end, but that no longer matters. Because the most important person, you, is now staying with yourself. You no longer need to chase inspiration. You no longer need to live to prove something. You no longer need grand plans or dazzling achievements to know that you are on the right path. All you need is to repeat with steady consistency the things that seem simple. Think right, move regularly, hold your focus, sleep well, keep the flame of purpose, train your discipline, keep your word to yourself, and you will see. You don't need to change the world to feel worthy. You just need to stop betraying yourself. No one knows what tomorrow will bring, but that doesn't shake you like it used to, because you know as long as today you show up clearly, fully, responsibly, that is enough to shape tomorrow. So today, don't wait any longer. Don't wait until you feel ready enough. Don't wait for the world to calm down. Don't wait for good luck. Choose one action, something small, and do it with all the sincerity you carry within you. Rewrite a commitment to yourself. Clear your space. Go to bed 1 hour earlier. Walk without your phone. Or simply sit still and close your eyes for 3 minutes just to remind yourself, I am alive. I am rising. Because you don't need anyone's permission to begin again. You only need one honest decision repeated each day to turn the ordinary into an extraordinary life. And if you ever feel lost, return to one simple question. Today, am I living like the person I was born to be? If the answer is yes, even in just one small act, then you are on the right path. You are enough, you are rising, and yes, you will be the one holding the wheel of your own life. I wish you success on the path you choose.